This story takes us back to the 17th century, when a rich and noble boy named Barnabas was living a happy life with his family. But everything changes when a dangerous sorceress curses him, transforming him into a horrible form and burying him alive in a grave. However, after 200 years, Barnabas is suddenly freed from his grave and returns to a world that has completely changed. But how did he survive in the grave for 200 years? And why did the sorceress curse him in the first place? We'll uncover all of this in today's story. The story begins in the year 1760 with the Collins family, a wealthy and noble family of just 3 members. The family includes young Barnabas and his parents, who owe their riches to Barnabas's father's thriving fishing business. His father had even established a town near the sea, far from America, which they named Collinsport. As their wealth grew, the Collins family built a grand mansion in the woods near the town, which they named Collinwood. Years passed, and Barnabas grew up in this privileged life. During this time, he began an affair with a maid working in their mansion named Angelique. One day, Angelique confessed her love to Barnabas and expressed her desire to marry him, but Barnabas, not feeling the same way, refused to marry her. Enraged by his rejection, Angelique turned to black magic to make Barnabas suffer. Her first act of vengeance was to kill Barnabas's parents by using her powers to make part of the mansion collapse on them. Barnabas suspected that their demise wasn't natural. He began studying books on black magic to uncover the truth. During this time, he found his true love, a woman named Josette. Barnabas and Josette fell deeply in love, but their happiness enraged Angelique. Unable to tolerate their love, Angelique once again resorted to black magic. She cast a spell on Josette, bringing her under her control. Under Angelique's spell, Josette walked to a high cliff and jumped, ending her life before Barnabas could save her. Barnabas, heartbroken and unable to bear the loss of his love, also jumped from the cliff to end his own life. But to his shock, he survived the fall. Angelique had cursed him to become a vampire, ensuring that he would live forever with the pain of his loss. Now knowing his true nature, Barnabas confronted Angelique, but she manipulated the villagers into believing he was a monster. The villagers captured Barnabas, locked him in a coffin, and buried him alive. 2 centuries passed. The story now shifts to the year 1972, where we see a young woman named Victoria traveling to Collinsport by train. Once there, she takes a car ride to the Grand Collinwood mansion. Upon her arrival, a servant named Billy opens the door and welcomes her inside. While exploring the mansion, Victoria notices a portrait of Barnabas hanging on the wall. Curious, she asks Billy about him. At that moment, Elizabeth, the head of the Collins family, appears and explains that Barnabas was a great and noble member of the family who lived long ago. Elizabeth introduces herself to Victoria and explains that she had placed an ad in the newspaper to hire a caretaker for her nephew David, Roger, and his son David. When Victoria asks about David's mother, Elizabeth reveals that she died tragically, drowning in the sea. However, David refuses to accept this and insists that he can still see and communicate with his mother. Caroline is also introduced to Victoria. Caroline is a mischievous and stubborn girl who often acts out in her own way. At dinner time, Elizabeth introduces Victoria to David's father, Roger. At the same time, a psychiatrist named Dr. Julia Hoffman joins them at the table. Elizabeth explains that since David claims he can still see and communicate with his mother, she felt the need to involve a psychiatrist. Meanwhile, Victoria notices someone at a distance, completely covered with a white sheet. It turns out, who cryptically tells her he is coming. Before Victoria can make sense of this, Josette's spirit disappears. On the other side of the town, we see some workers digging into the ground. As they dig, they hit something hard beneath the soil. Clearing the dirt, they uncover a coffin. The workers, curious about their find, call their supervisor, who cuts the chains wrapped around the coffin. As soon as the coffin is opened, Barnabas is freed, and in his rage and hunger, he attacks the workers, killing them all one by one. After this, Barnabas makes his way back to his family home, the Collinwood mansion. In the garden, he encounters Billy, the family servant. Using his hypnotic powers, Barnabas takes control of Billy's mind and asks him if the Collins family still lives in the mansion. Billy confirms that they do. Barnabas then enters the house, where he begins to look at the royal furniture and decorations of his former home. While reminiscing, he explains the significance of these items to Billy. Inside the mansion, Barnabas meets Caroline and David. Caroline, seeing his disheveled appearance, assumes he's just a drunk and perhaps a madman who has wandered in. But David shows him the painting on the wall. Pointing to the portrait, David says, "This is you, isn't it?" Barnabas replies, "Yes, a great artist painted this picture of me long ago." At that moment, Elizabeth arrives and immediately tells Caroline and David to stay away from him. Taking Barnabas into a private room, she confronts him and demands that he stop this charade. To prove his identity, Barnabas leads Elizabeth to a hidden door in the house, which opens to reveal a secret basement. Until that moment, Elizabeth had no idea this basement even existed. Inside, she finds a treasure trove of diamonds and jewels. Seeing this, she is convinced that he is indeed Barnabas, the long-lost son of the Collins family. Still in disbelief, Elizabeth listens as Barnabas reveals his secret. He is a vampire. However, he assures her, "I will never harm anyone in this family." Later, the entire family gathers at the dinner table. Elizabeth introduces Barnabas to everyone as a distant relative of the family. During the meal, Dr. Julia arrives, and Elizabeth introduces her to Barnabas. Barnabas, still adjusting to the modern world, inquires about the family's fishing business. Elizabeth admits that the business is almost ruined because a woman named Angie has taken over, striking deals with all the local fishermen. Hearing this, Barnabas confidently declares, "Now that I have refused." By his reaction, Victoria introduces herself, and the two begin to talk. After this, we see Angie, who is in fact the same Angelique who destroyed Barnabas's life 200 years ago. Using black magic, she turned herself into a witch, and has managed to stay alive all this time by changing her identity. She has been living in a society with great respect, hiding her true nature. Angie arrives at her office and learns that during the previous night's excavation, her workers unearthed a 200-year-old coffin. However, she is shocked to hear that all her workers were brutally killed soon after. Sensing something unusual, Angie visits the site of the incident and becomes certain that Barnabas has been freed. She immediately heads to Collinwood and meets Elizabeth. While she is speaking with Elizabeth, Barnabas enters the room. As soon as they shake hands, Barnabas realizes that Angie is none other than Angelique. Barnabas takes her aside to another room to discuss the fishing business. Angie boldly declares, "This business is mine now, and you must have already figured out who I am." Barnabas replies, "Yes, I know exactly who you are, the same witch who destroyed my family and took everything from me. I should report you for practicing black magic." Angie laughs mockingly and says, "You can't do anything. No one will believe you. I have lived in this society for 200 years with great respect. Changing my identity is needed, and now, Collinwood is mine." After Angelique leaves, Barnabas reveals the truth to Elizabeth, explaining that Angie is the same witch who caused his parents' death and took away his love. He laments that he couldn't do anything to stop her back then. Elizabeth, however, encourages him, saying, "You can rebuild your business and take this family to greater heights once again." Motivated by her words, Barnabas begins by having the mansion renovated, restoring its former grandeur. He ensures that beautiful paintings adorn the walls, giving the mansion a majestic look. To revive the family fishing business, Barnabas enlists Billy's help. Together, they approach influential fishermen, and using his hypnotic abilities, Barnabas convinces them to stop working for Angelique and join the Collins family instead. Gradually, the fishing business begins to flourish once again. One day, Dr. Julia notices Barnabas peering into Caroline's room and examining a lamp curiously. This behavior raises her suspicions, and she decides to confront him. Dr. Julia, being a psychiatrist, tells Barnabas, "I specialize in understanding the human mind." Using her own methods and subtle hypnosis, she discovers the truth about him. She learns that Barnabas is a vampire. Concerned, she discusses this revelation with Elizabeth, asking, "Why are you allowing a vampire to stay here?" Elizabeth calmly responds, "I know what he is, but I also know he won't harm anyone in this house. Please keep this a secret." Meanwhile, Barnabas seeks Caroline's advice on how to understand love in the modern world. Caroline advises him, "First, you need to change your appearance and stop acting so strange. Blend in like a normal person so that people enjoy talking to you. Once you do that, you'll gradually learn how love works in today's world." The next day, we see Dr. Julia drawing blood from Barnabas. She has convinced him that replacing his blood with human blood will turn him back into a human. Barnabas, trusting her, agrees to the procedure. In the following scene, Barnabas and Victoria are seen walking together along the seashore. Their growing connection becomes evident. It seems that both of them have started to develop feelings for each other. Elsewhere, Angelique holds a meeting with her company's board members. They inform her that their business is steadily declining because Barnabas is reclaiming clients. Angry and frustrated, Angelique arranges a private meeting with Barnabas in the evening. During the meeting, she offers him a check, saying, "Take this money and leave the fishing business." Barnabas, however, refuses her offer, standing firm in his decision to rebuild the Collins family legacy. When Barnabas refuses Angelique's initial offer, she tries a different approach. She proposes that they run the fishing business together. But Barnabas, haunted by her past actions, rejects the idea outright. He tells her that he can never forget what she did to him, his family, and his love. Angelique is enraged by his refusal, but keeps her emotions hidden. Meanwhile, Victoria has a disturbing dream that takes her back to her childhood. In her dream, she recalls seeing Josette's spirit for the first time. As a child, Victoria would often talk to Josette's spirit, but her parents didn't understand her and assumed she was at a grand party at Collinwood with the family's consent. He invites many prominent people from the town in an effort to open up about her childhood. She confesses, "Since I was a child, I've been seeing the spirit of a girl. My parents never understood me and my life was filled with loneliness. But one day, that spirit led me here to Collinwood, and after meeting you, I felt as though I've known you for centuries. It feels like fate brought us together." Overcome with emotion, Barnabas kisses her, and she responds in kind. However, their intimate moment is interrupted when Angelique, who had come to the party uninvited, sees them from a distance. Her jealousy flashes a sum of money from the family's treasure. Roger, unsurprisingly, chooses the money and leaves, abandoning David without a second thought. Heartbroken, David runs upstairs in tears. In his haste, he trips on the stairs, and a heavy object nearly falls on him. Barnabas reacts instantly, saving David in the nick of time. However, the commotion draws everyone's attention. They witness Barnabas's superhuman speed, and when sunlight falls on him, his skin catches fire. Billy quickly pours water on him, extinguishing the flames, but the damage is done. The family now knows the truth. Barnabas is a vampire. Shocked and frightened, everyone distances themselves from him, including Victoria, who struggles to accept what he is. Desperate and frustrated, Barnabas confronts Angelique, begging her to lift the curse. Angelique, however, refuses, and instead offers him two options: live with her as her lover and partner in the business, or be imprisoned in a coffin forever. Barnabas firmly rejects her, saying he would rather endure eternity than be with her. Provoked, Angelique slyly brings up Dr. Julia, hinting that she knows what happened to her. Furious, Barnabas admits, "Yes, I killed her. She betrayed me." This confession is exactly what Angelique wanted. Using her magic, she overpowers Barnabas, chaining him and imprisoning him in a coffin once again. As the lid closes, she smirks, sealing his fate for a second time. Angelique takes Barnabas with her men and sets fire to his fishing factory as a final act of vengeance. She then transports the chained Barnabas, along with his coffin, to a crumbling house deep within the forest and abandons him there. Once she leaves, David arrives, guided by his mother's spirit, and frees Barnabas from his confinement. Meanwhile, the fire at the fishing factory draws the attention of the police and a large crowd. Angelique seizes this opportunity, addressing everyone with a microphone. She accuses Barnabas of Julia's murder and brands him as a criminal. She implicates his family as accomplices for concealing his crime and leads the police to Collinwood. At Collinwood, Angelique declares Barnabas guilty in front of the police and the townsfolk. Enraged, Barnabas lunges at her, slashing her throat. However, Angelique remains unharmed, throwing Barnabas aside with ease. The crowd panics, realizing that both of them are supernatural beings. The police order everyone to evacuate as the confrontation escalates into a fierce and dangerous fight. Elizabeth attempts to stop Angelique by firing a gun at her, but the bullets have no effect. Using her dark magic, Angelique animates the objects within the mansion. A giant snake emerges, attacking Elizabeth, while fire engulfs the room. Barnabas is restrained by a life-size doll brought to life by Angelique's magic. In the chaos, it's revealed that Angelique had cursed Caroline, turning her into a vicious werewolf. Caroline breaks free and attacks Angelique, fiercely attempting to kill her. However, Angelique overpowers Caroline, rendering her unconscious. She then turns her attention to Barnabas, prepared to deliver the final blow. Angelique taunts Barnabas, revealing a cruel truth. She was the one who killed David's mother, not the accident everyone believed. Suddenly, David appears and demands Angelique leave Barnabas alone. "If you don't," he warns, "my mother," realizing that her end was destined to come this way. Angelique dies moments later. Meanwhile, Victoria heads toward the cliff where Josette had once ended her life. Consumed by despair, she believes that her love for Q, she says. Barnabas refuses her into a vampire, sparing her life. Victoria survives the fall, and as she awakens, the two realize they are now alike. Overcome with joy, they embrace, knowing they can now be together for eternity. In the final scene, the camera pans to the depths of the ocean, where Dr. Julia's corpse lies. Suddenly, her eyes snap open. Barnabas's bite has turned her into a vampire as well. I hope you enjoyed this tale. See you soon with another intriguing story. Just imagine, you're framed for a crime you didn't commit and sent to the world's most dangerous prison. The story begins in 1931 in Paris, where a clever man named Papillon lived. He was an expert at opening any lock. One day, after a robbery, Papillon handed the stolen diamonds to his boss. The boss suspiciously asked if Papillon had kept any diamonds for himself. Papillon denied it completely. But then, the boss showed him a man who was badly beaten and threatened Papillon, saying, "If you lie to me, you'll end up like this." Papillon said nothing. Later, he went to his girlfriend Nanette and gifted her a necklace made from the diamonds he had secretly kept. At that moment, a man saw the necklace in Nanette's hand secretly. Papillon and Nanette spent the night together, and she urged him to leave this life of crime. Papillon dreamed of building a small house far away with her. However, their dreams were crushed the next morning when the police raided their home. They accused Papillon of murdering the same man who was beaten by his boss. The police arrested him, and Papillon realized there was no use trying to explain himself. They wouldn't believe him. His only option was to escape from prison. In jail, Papillon met another prisoner named Julot. Julot told him, "You'll need a lot of money to escape from here." Then Julot pointed to another prisoner named Degas and said, "He can help you." Degas was a wealthy man, but had been caught making counterfeit money. Soon after, all the prisoners were transported to a place called the Penal Colony by boat. On the journey, Papillon approached Degas and said, "I can protect you in prison if you give me money." But Degas refused the offer. That night, a prisoner sleeping next to Degas was brutally murdered. The man had hidden money in his stomach, and someone killed him to steal it. This terrified Dega. The next morning, shaken by fear, Dega agreed to Papillon's offer. However, he was not interested in escaping because he believed his wife would eventually get him out legally. That night, the same killer who murdered the other prisoner came to kill Dega. Just as the man was about to strike, Papillon intervened and saved Dega's life, beating the attacker. However, the guards discovered the fight and punished Papillon harshly. The next morning, the prisoners arrived at the penal colony. Julot, desperate to escape, injured himself on purpose so he could be sent to the clinic, which had less security. He planned to escape from there. Meanwhile, the new prisoners were brought into the main jail, which was full of dangerous criminals. The warden there was equally ruthless. He told the new arrivals, "Escaping from here is impossible. Don't even try, it'll be better for your health." He warned them of the consequences. If you try to escape, you'll be sent to 2 years in the torture chamber. If you're caught a second time, it'll be 3 years. But if you try a third time, you'll be sent to Devil's Island, where everyone goes mad. If you commit murder, your head will be chopped off in front of everyone. The prisoners were given heavy labor jobs, such as lifting stones. After a few days, Papillon met a boatman who could help him escape. The boatman told Papillon to meet him by the riverside the following night. However, a dangerous prisoner overheard the plan and betrayed Dega for money. Papillon managed to handle the situation and saved himself. Dega saw everything and realized that without Papillon, he wouldn't survive even a day in this prison. Left with no other option, Dega decided to join Papillon in his escape plan. The next morning, all the prisoners were gathered in the field. It was revealed that Julot had killed 2 guards during his escape attempt. Within moments, Julot's head was severed from his body, and he was executed. Seeing this horrifying scene, all the prisoners were terrified. The warden then ordered Papillon and Dega to carry Julot's body to the crematorium. On the way, Dega suddenly started vomiting, as he had never seen a dead body before. Despite his discomfort, there was no relief for him. A guard approached and ordered Dega to lift the body, but when Dega refused, the guard began beating him brutally. Papillon could not bear to see his friend being tortured, so in a fit of rage, he picked up a stone and struck the guard on the head. After this, Papillon ran away, but poor Dega was paralyzed with fear and couldn't even move. Later that night, Papillon approached the boatman who had promised to help him escape. However, as Papillon requested the boat, the man suddenly burst into loud laughter. Papillon turned around and realized he had been surrounded by guards. It was then revealed that the boatman was secretly working for the warden, providing information about escape plans in exchange for money. Papillon was brought back to the prison, where the warden informed him that the guard he had hit with the stone had survived. Therefore, Papillon wouldn't face the death penalty. However, he was punished for his escape attempt and sentenced to time in the dreaded torture chamber on another island. In this chamber, Papillon was confined to a small dark cell where he wasn't allowed to make any noise, not even talk to himself. If he broke this rule, he would face additional punishment. His meals consisted of a thin, nearly inedible soup, and the isolation was unbearable. One day, he unexpectedly found a coconut in his food. Inside the coconut was a piece of paper with a message saying he would continue to receive coconuts daily. Papillon quickly realized that these were being sent by Dega, who was secretly trying to help him. For a month, Papillon survived on the coconuts. However, the warden eventually discovered this. He demanded Papillon reveal who was sending him the coconuts, but Papillon refused to speak. Furious, the warden sentenced him to serve the remainder of his punishment in complete darkness. Now, Papillon was plunged into total isolation. He couldn't see anything around him, and the oppressive silence and hunger began to take a toll on his mind and body. Over time, his condition worsened. The loneliness and lack of food made him so weak that he could barely move. His mental health started deteriorating rapidly. Eventually, Papillon became so frail that he had to be transferred to the hospital for treatment. Coincidentally, Dega had earned the warden's trust over the past year and was now working within the jail. One day, Dega visited Papillon in the hospital and discovered something surprising. Papillon had been pretending to be mentally unstable. He knew that faking madness would eventually get him out of solitary confinement and back into the main prison. Once reunited, Papillon and Dega began planning another escape. This time, they decided to include 2 other prisoners in their plan. Papillon chose a strong prisoner named Cillier, while Dega selected Maturette, a timid prisoner who was often bullied by others. Dega gave all his money to Cillier, who used it to buy a boat. The following night, while the prisoners were being shown a movie, the 4 of them decided to execute their escape plan. As part of the plan, Dega approached the officers who were watching the movie and offered them alcohol. He had cleverly mixed a drug into the drinks and waited for the right moment to steal the key to the main door. Meanwhile, Papillon and the other 2, Cillier and Maturette, waited anxiously. Suddenly, it began raining, and the lights went out. Seeing the opportunity, Cillier suggested they run immediately. However, Papillon refused to leave without Dega. Just in time, Dega arrived with the keys. Taking advantage of the darkness, they unlocked the main door and escaped from the jail. While running, they reached the end of the path, and the only way forward was to jump down to the riverbank. Papillon, Cillier, and Maturette jumped without hesitation, but when Dega was about to jump, the lights suddenly came back on. Overwhelmed with fear, Dega lost his balance and fell, injuring himself badly. He couldn't walk anymore. Cillier insisted they leave Dega behind, but Papillon refused. With Maturette's help, they carried Dega to the riverbank, where the boat was waiting for them. Without wasting any time, all 4 got into the boat and disappeared into the darkness. After a few hours at sea, dawn broke, and Cillier realized they hadn't made much progress. He calculated that the boat was too small to carry the weight of all 4 of them, and to make matters worse, a fierce storm was approaching. With time running out, Cillier suddenly pushed Maturette into the sea. He then turned towards Dega, intending to do the same. However, Papillon intervened, and a brutal fight broke out between the 2. Cillier, being incredibly strong, nearly overpowered Papillon, but just as he was about to kill him, Dega mustered his strength and stabbed Cillier from behind, killing him. They threw Cillier's body into the sea and managed to pull Maturette back onto the boat. Moments later, the storm arrived, and the sea turned chaotic. Darkness surrounded them, and they lost control of the boat. When they regained consciousness, they found themselves on an unfamiliar island. Some locals had spotted them floating in the sea and saved their lives. A nun approached Papillon and informed him that they were in Colombia. Papillon immediately turned to Dega and suggested they leave the island as soon as possible to avoid being captured again. But Dega, exhausted from all the running and hardships, declared, "If you want to go, you can go. The deal is over." He had had enough of the endless escape attempts, and now wanted to settle down and live peacefully in one place. Papillon then went to Maturette to convince him to escape together, but Maturette had become infatuated with the women of the island, and had no interest in leaving. Realizing that neither of his companions wanted to leave, Papillon decided to escape on his own. However, as he was preparing to leave, he suddenly spotted officers approaching. It became clear that the clever nun had betrayed them and informed the police. Papillon quickly ran back to warn Dega, but it was too late. The officers caught them both, and during the chaos, Maturette was captured and tragically shot dead. Papillon and Dega were sent back to prison. After 5 long years, Papillon had served his punishment in the torture cell and was transferred to the infamous Devil's Island. Upon his arrival, he was shocked to see Dega there as well. It turned out that the officers had discovered Dega's role in drugging them, and he had been sent to Devil's Island long before Papillon. The 2 friends were overjoyed to reunite after 5 years. That evening, as they sat by the seashore, Papillon shared his new plan with Dega. He proposed building a small raft using coconuts. believing that the ocean's waves could carry him to the other shore. But Degas was hesitant. He looked at Papillon and said, "Brother, do whatever you want, but leave me out of it." Degas explained that he had been living peacefully on the island for the last 5 years and had no desire to leave. His wife had remarried, and he no longer had anything to return to. Despite this, Degas still decided to help Papillon build the coconut raft. On the morning of the escape, the two friends hugged each other tightly and said their goodbyes. Papillon threw the raft into the sea, jumped onto it, and began his journey. By sheer luck, the plan worked, and the ocean waves carried him toward the distant shore. As Papillon drifted away, tears welled up in Degas' eyes as he watched his friend leave. And with that, Papillon's incredible journey came to a close. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more. See you in the next one.